Jai.
Saptago Swami Satchidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki
Jai.
Vaishnava Sarvabhaum Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki
Jai.
Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Srila Baladevi Debhushan Prabhu ki
Jai.
Shri Rasi Acharya Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki
Jai.
Srila Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai ki
Jai.
Srila Krishna Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Shri Subhamadar Rai Ramananda Shri Gora Parashad Vrinda ki
Jai.
Tirubhav Maha Mahotsava Shri Devananda Pandit ki
Jai.
Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki
Jai.
Prem Sago Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki
Jai.
Shri Navadvipa Antardvip Maya Purdam ki
Jai.
Ganga Devi ki
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki
Jai.
Bhakti Devi ki
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki
Jai.
Shri Vrindavan Dham ki
Jai.
Shri Guna Devi ki Shrimati Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Gopishwara Mahadev ki Nibraj Dham ki Madhavachiti Bhakti Janani Akatasi Bharat ki
Jai.
Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Sudasan Chakra Purushottam Dham Tota Gopi Nath ki
Jai.
Narasingha Bhagavan ki
Jai.
Bhakti Prahlad Maharaj ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Samagata Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai Gora Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo. You see Jagannath Baladev Subhadra's nice gloves. That's one thing I love about the winter season is when you see Thakurji, they're wearing nice warm socks and gloves and hats and chaddars. Yes. Perchatki. Jagannath. Yeah, perchatki. Means gloves. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Ajnana after Sya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarane Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Iti Namane Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audaurya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padabja Dritaika Hridi Chaitanya Lilamrita Sarasaram Narayanam Tam Satatam Prapadye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Shridhariti Naman Namo Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singha Rupane Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshava iti namane Ati Martya Charitraya Swasritanancha Palane Jiva Dukke Sadartaya Shri Nama Prema Dayane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Dina Shivarsavanavi Devi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Jnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarane Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvantaharane Namo Gauda Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaurabhir Bhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabhajanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalau Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Suruto Pangor Mamamanda Matergati Matsarva Svapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumata Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Kristalabhi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi Vamshivata Tatakstitaha Karshana Venu Swanair Gopir Gopinata Shriyeshtunaha Brindai Tulsidebai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satchavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Oh, that's right. I'm the Madanga player. You have kartals? Kartals? Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapeka Atihina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapeka Atihina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapekayatihina Gurudev Bindu Diya Sakala Sahane Bolodiya Koro Nijamane Spriha Hina Sakala Sahane Sakala Sahane Bolodiya Koro Nijamane Sprihahina Nijamane Sprihahina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapekayatihina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapekayatihina Sakale Saman Korite Shakati Dehonata Jata Jata Sakale Saman Korite Shakati Dehonata Jata Jata Tabe to gaibo Hari Nama Suke Tabe to gaibo Hari Nama Suke Aparada habe hata Aparada habe hata Aparada habe hata Aparada habe hata Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapekayatihina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dase Trinapekayatihina Kabhi hai no kripa labhiya ejan Kritartha hoibe nata Kabhi hai no kripa labhiya ejan Kritartha hoibe nata Shakti buddhihin ame ati din Shakti buddhihin ame ati din. Karo more atma sata, karo more atma sata. Gurudev karo more atma sata, Gurudev sata, Gurudev kripa bindu diya karo e dase trinapekayati hina, Gurudev kripa bindu diya karo e dase. Yogyatya vichare kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna sar. Yogyatya vichare kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna sara. Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya, Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya, kandiya. Pranana rakibo pranana rakibo pranana rakibo pranana rakibo Gurudev kripa bindu diya karo e dase trinapekayati hina, Gurudev sakala sahane bolo diya karo nijamane sprihahina. Sakala sahane bolo diya karo nijamane sprihahina. Sakala sahane bolo diya karo, sakala sahane bolo diya karo nijamane spriha hina, nijamane spriha hina. Gurudev kripa bindu diya karo e dase trinapekayati hina, Gurudev kripa bindu diya karo e dase trinapekayati hina. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Parampara, Guru Parampara. Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Shri Krishna, Jai Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinatha, Radha Gopinatha Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jaya Radha Shyama Sundar, Radha Shyama Sundar Radhe. Sundar Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Vinod Bihari, Radha Vinod Bihari Radhe. Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe. Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari. Gaura He, Gaura He, Gaura He, Gaura He. Nitai hai, nitai hai, nitai hai, nitai hai. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Shri Nityananda Mahajana Ki Jai, Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai, Shri Navadvipa Dham Ki Jai, Shri Ekadasi Titi Ki Jai, Shri Madhava Titi Ki Jai, Ekadasi Vrata Ki Jai, Vrata Palan Kori Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So first of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Guru Dev, Nityalila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Guru Devs, Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I offer my Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavis. And on this disappearance day of one of our great associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Devananda Pandit, I offer my Dandavat Pranams at his lotus feet. We'll hear some of the nectar of his life and lessons to be learned from his relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you know that we come in the line of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. And when Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, after the disappearance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then there was some division in the Gaudiya Math institution, and various disciples they went in different directions. Some of them worked together as groups. But after Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj founded the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti and was preaching with a group of God brothers, then eventually they acquired the property where now the Devananda Gaudiya Math is there. And who is the Devananda that is being spoken about? Devananda Pandit. Okay, and that's a very interesting pastime because we know the importance, we've heard it hundreds and hundreds of times, the importance of not offending Vaishnavas. And there's very great lessons to be learned in regards to the consequences of Vaishnav aparad. This is not the only place. There are so many different lessons throughout all the Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. Because this is a tendency of the conditioned soul, is to offend, to have envy, to offend great Vaishnavas. In this case, this was an interesting pastime because it was as if it was a passive offense, not active offense. So we're going to read about that. Srila Bharati Maharaj has nicely told us. Okay. So, one second. So Devananda Pandit, he possessed all good qualities. He exemplified proper etiquette. He was peaceful. He sustained himself only on eating havishyana. Do you know what that is? Havishyana. Everyone say havishyana. I told about it the other day, but today we're going to learn what it actually is. Havishyana is rice boiled with some vegetables and some dal. without any spices or turmeric. That's called havishyana. And that's generally taken during Chaturmasya and so forth, because it's bland. It has, of course, some taste and flavor, but not the usual. So, during Chaturmasya, some persons take this only, nothing else. Water and this. And so we learned that Devananda Pandit, he was so peaceful, self-controlled. He used to eat only havishyana. Now, he was a very, very erudite scholar. And actually, he knew Srimad Bhagavatam to be the essence of all scriptures. He had that understanding, that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all scriptures. So he served Srimad Bhagavatam by reading, by hearing, and by speaking from it. And he wouldn't read any other scripture. So once, before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his nature as a devotee, Srivas Pandit had become overwhelmed with ecstatic emotions while he was hearing Devananda Pandit's recital of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srivas Pandit began weeping and rolling on the ground. Then the disciples of Devananda Pandit, unable to understand Srivas Pandit's exalted position, they considered it as a nuisance. And consequently, they threw him out of the assembly. Srivas Pandit. Now, Devananda Pandit, he raised no objection to the misbehavior of his disciples. And this constituted a Vaishnav aparad on behalf of Devananda Pandit, although he was not directly involved in committing the offense. So, there's a verse being quoted here from 10th canto, 4th chapter. Ayu Shriyam Yasho Dharmam Lokan Ashisha Evacha Hanti Shreyamsi Sarvani Pungso Mahad Atikrama. This is the famous verse and the 4th chapter of the 10th canto, at the end of the chapter, where it is describing my dear king. Who's the king? Parikshit Maharaj. Sukadeva Goswami is telling. My dear king, when a man persecutes great souls, all his benedictions of longevity, beauty, fame, religion, blessings, promotion to higher planets, all will be destroyed. Is that a very clear warning, or is it ambiguous? Do we have to give some deep interpretation that maybe it doesn't exactly mean that? No. This is exactly what Bhagavatam is telling. If a person persecutes great souls, in other words, they commit Vaishnava aparad against great souls, everything that is desirable in this world, long life, beauty, fame, religion, blessings, promotion to higher planets, this will all be destroyed. Now, in due course of time means that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had taken sannyas and everything, and then much later, Mahaprabhu came to Kulia. Do you know where that is? Where we are sitting right now is called Kulia at that time. And Koladvip is the name of this. But it was at the time of Mahaprabhu, this area was called Kulia Gram. So while Mahaprabhu was passing by the house of Devananda Pandit, Oh, this is before Mahaprabhu took sannyas. While Mahaprabhu was passing by the house of Devananda Pandit, which was in this area, then he heard the recital of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he commented, "What does this fellow know about the true meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam? Even in many lifetimes he will not know. One who finds a difference between myself and my servants will find all his good intelligence destroyed. An irreligious person who rejects bhakti and who finds some other meaning in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he will never understand Srimad Bhagavatam." Now later, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Devananda Pandit, Mahaprabhu chastised him, saying, "A voracious eater feels some relief and satisfaction upon passing some stool after a heavy meal. But anyone hearing your delivery of the Srimad Bhagavatam won't even feel that much satisfaction. You are an offender of the Vaishnavas." So because of his offense to Srivas Pandit, Devananda Pandit could not develop love of God, or he also could not have faith in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Despite his continued commitment to serving Srimad Bhagavatam. So now, what is the great fortune of performing Vaishnava Seva? So after some time, by some good fortune, then Devananda Pandit, he got an opportunity to nicely serve another great intimate associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who was that? Vakreshvara Pandit. Somehow, it doesn't describe how, but somehow he came into the association of Vakreshvara Pandit, such an intimate associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Vakreshvara Pandit was always absorbed in relishing devotional mellows with Sri Krishna. Now, this good fortune came that he got the opportunity to nicely serve Vakreshvara Pandit. And because of this affectionate service to Vakreshvara Pandit, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during his next visit, he showed his favor to Devananda Pandit. That was here. That's why Devananda Gaudiya Math is called Devananda Gaudiya Math, because it's in this exact area, which is also called Aparad Bhyanjan Pat, the place where all offenses are forgiven. And this is where Mahaprabhu came, and there were throngs of people that came from all directions of devotees to see Mahaprabhu, and they came here to this area. And so, at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was face to face with these lakhs and lakhs of devotees, and many of them had been offenders. Why? Because before Mahaprabhu took sannyas, and he was Nimai Pandit, what were they doing? Some of them. Do you know? Were they committing offenses against Nimai Pandit? Yeah, that's one of the things. What else? What were they? They were criticizing him. Yeah. Yeah. She just told that. But what else were they doing? What was the offense that they were committing against Mahaprabhu before he took sannyas, when he is in his household life? Yes, they were looking at him in that way. Who is this Nimai Pandit? They had a derogatory attitude towards him. And that is cited as being practically the main reason, externally, why Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas. Why? What would his taking sannyas accomplish in connection with them and all of their offenses? Yeah, they'd have to show respect. They'd have to pay obeisances to Mahaprabhu after he took sannyas. And then what? And then their attitude could be rectified. That took place right here, in this area, Kulia. Thousands of people came, lakhs of people came, lakhs and lakhs. They came from all directions. It was the last time that Mahaprabhu visited Navadvipa. But this was when they all realized who he is and what horrible attitude that they had of him previously. And they all came and they wept and they fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu by the thousands of these Navadvipa Vasis and all of that. Mahaprabhu forgave all of them. And specifically amongst this group, there was this personality, Devananda Pandit, who had very much been chastised by Mahaprabhu. We just heard what Mahaprabhu told about him and his so-called recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, or his so-called understanding of what is Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was condemned by Mahaprabhu. He was condemned. He said that that Devananda Pandit would not, because of his offense against Srivas Pandit, then he would not be able to develop love of God, despite his continued commitment to serving Srimad Bhagavatam. So, but now we're hearing that by the will of the Lord, he got the association of another intimate associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vikeshwara Pandit, and he served him very, very nicely. And because of this affectionate service to Vikeshwara Pandit, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during his next visit, he showed his favor to Devananda Pandit. And he said to him, "Oh, you are a servant of my dear devotee, Vikeshwara Pandit, and by serving him, you have greatly pleased me." Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him never to let any other explanation of Srimad Bhagavatam other than unalloyed devotion to Sri Krishna issue from his mouth. And he also told him to beg forgiveness for his offense from Srivas Pandit, which he did. So now here's a very nice, concise explanation by Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj based upon this pastime, saying that when one is proud, when one is proud, then one will not get devotion unto Bhagavan. Pride is the greatest enemy. That's why the very first verse of Manasiksha is saying, Sada dambam hitva. Always give up damba, pride. Because when a person is proud, then that person will not get devotion unto Bhagavan. It will not come. Only by serving Vaishnavas, then one's adhikar increases. And it also removes one's pride. All worldly knowledge is futile until one gets sadhusanga. All worldly knowledge, no matter how much you have, It's completely futile until you get sadhu sangha. Bhakti manifests only by sadhu sangha and sadhu seva. What does bhakti only manifest through what? Two things. Sadhu sangha and sadhu seva, serving. Huh? It is only after Devananda Pandit got the association of Vakeshwara Pandit and served him that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon him. So, save yourself from Vaishnava aparad by rendering Vaishnava seva. Devananda Pandit was conducting many pious activities like speaking on the Srimad Bhagavatam, eating Havishyanna, etc. But these activities could not nullify his Vaishnava aparad. Huh? No matter how much pious self-control, everything, they could not nullify his Vaishnava aparad. Only when he served Vakeshwara Pandit, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed his favor by instructing him to beg forgiveness from Srivas Pandit and thus nullify his offense. This is the teaching that Mahaprabhu wants to give through this pastime. When I read this, I am forced to reflect upon what I observed in my life, in this life, and the incredible degree and extent of Vaishnava aparad being committed against the highest exalted pure devotees. And the persons who did this, they went on with their chanting and their preaching and their this and their that. So does it mean that they didn't get a reaction? Some of them got instantaneous reaction. And they fell flat on their face. They practically became non-devotee atheists. Yes. But people ask the question, well, we see, these people committed very heavy Vaishnava aparad, but yet they're still going on. Well, I can give you a nice quotation that I read in 1995, which is nearly 30 years ago, when I was in Malaysia for the first time. And I brought the book along I had purchased the book of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj here in Vrindavan, I think. And the title of the book is The Heart of Krishna. That book was so powerful when I was reading that book. It probably has at least 15 or 20 different direct narrations from Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and so forth. Lots of quotations and incidences regarding this topic of how different individuals performed very severe Vaishnava aparad and what were the consequences. But in the introduction to the book, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj is talking about a quotation from the Chaitanya Bhagavat and the commentary on that verse by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he quotes it right there from Chaitanya Bhagavat, and the commentary, very short commentary, he just took a little excerpt from it by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it's regarding this exact point. We hear that the consequences and the reactions for performing Vaishnava aparad are very, very severe, and they will destroy the person. But yet we see that some individuals They continue to go on performing their so-called sadhana, their bhakti, and so forth. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur addresses such a doubt. And he says, those persons who have performed that Vaishnava parad, and now it looks apparently like they're going on with their service, their bhakti, so-called bhakti. But Krishna doesn't care at all for their sham presentation of so-called service. Krishna doesn't care at all. We just heard. Did Mahaprabhu care at all for Devananda Pandit's, all of that? Nothing. He said the opposite. He said, your recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam is not even as beneficial as passing stool after a big meal by a voracious eater. He gets some relief. Oh. Your recitation of Bhagavatam is not even equivalent to that. Huh? Anyway, 30 years ago I read that. 40 years ago I read all throughout Prabhupada's books about the importance of association with pure devotees. 50 years ago I read all these things. Almost 55 years ago. But yet I see that these misconceptions continue. Some persons, they pride themselves in being Vaishnava Paradis, especially on Facebook. And I was reading the other day where they were jumping on, criticizing our beloved Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj. And the persons who were doing that are well-known Vaishnava Paradi, so-called, Ritvik follower, such and such. And it was just like the greatest disgusting filth coming from their mouths, written there. And they had absolutely no correct understanding whatsoever of who this personality is at all. Everything that came was completely distorted. It's completely concocted distortion. Huh? So such persons, Srila Gurudev was very heavy about this also. And he also quoted Mahaprabhu telling one Vaishnava Paradi, Krishna has yet to create a hell for you to be punished in by Yamaraj for your great offenses. So the point is that certain individuals who apparently are following some kind of religious path, they are so full of disgusting pride that they condescend to persons who are obviously in every single way, shape, and form far millions of times superior to themselves. But yet they'd become blinded, you see. So, anyway, Srila Bharati Maharaj explains actually that Devananda Pandit is an eternal associate of Mahaprabhu. But for the sake of teaching these lessons, then Mahaprabhu enacted such a pastime. Now Srila Bharati Maharaj is saying, in regards to a problem that devotees have, and that's called lack of taste for the holy name. What's the reason for having lack of taste for the holy name? So, Srila Bharati Maharaj says in the second shlok of the Sri Sikshastakam, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling us. You know the second shlok of the Sikshastakam? Nam Nam Akadi Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarane Nakalaha Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrishamihajani Nanuragaha. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying about this second shloka of Sikshastakam, he's saying, O Lord, you are so merciful that you have manifested so many names. And to chant those names, you have not even kept any restrictions. However, it is my greatest misfortune that I have not developed any taste for the chanting of your holy names. The reason for not having taste for the holy name is Vaishnav Aparad. If one commits Vaishnav Aparad, then taste for chanting the holy name will not arise. Here's a verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 8. Bahu janma kore yadi shravana kirtan, tabu to na pai Krishna pade prema dhan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. So, even if one engages in hearing and chanting for millions of years, he may not achieve love of God. And if so, what is the reason behind it? Tabejani aparad tahate prachur, Krishnanam bij tahe na kore ankur. This is evidence that because of his offenses in chanting, the seed of the holy name of Krishna does not sprout. Yadi Vaishnava Parad Utte Hati Mata. You know that term, Hati Mata? Mad elephant. This is from the 19th chapter of Madhya Lila, where Mahaprabhu is instructing Rupa Goswami about the Bhakti Lata Bij and how you have to be a gardener, and when it grows you have to protect it like that. So, Jadi Vaishnava Parad Utte Hati Mata Upade Vachinde Tarasuki Jai Pata. If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. So, in this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. Now we keep saying, oh, I have no taste in chanting the holy name. Earlier I used to chant nicely, but now I don't find such absorption in chanting. And there is only one reason for this. Vaishnava Parad. Because of committing offenses, the heart becomes hard, like a stone. If a seed is kept on a stone, will it sprout and turn into a tree? No. Similarly, if one is committing offenses, no matter how much Harinam one may claim to be chanting, oh, I chant 300,000 holy names, I chant 200,000, 100,000. So despite, no matter how much Harinam one may claim to be chanting, there is no benefit in chanting like this. There is no benefit in sowing a seed on a barren land. So what are the teachings from the Devananda Pandit pastime? Here we now will hear. Actually, Devananda Pandit is a Nitya Parishad. He's an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But only to give us these teachings, he has enacted such pastimes. From Devananda Pandit's pastime, we get to learn that no matter how many material qualities one may be adorned with, it does not guarantee development of bhakti. So initially, Devananda Pandit, he served the Grantha Bhagavat, but he did not serve the Bhakta Bhagavat. There are two kinds of Bhagavat, yeah? What are they? Yes, Bhakta. Grantha Bhagavat, the book, and Bhakta Bhagavat, the devotee, the personification of Srimad Bhagavatam. So from Devananda Pandit's pastime, we get to learn that no matter how many material qualities one may be adorned with, it does not guarantee development of bhakti. Initially, Devananda Pandit, he served the Grantha Bhagavat, but not the Bhakta Bhagavat. So therefore, he had no attraction for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when Devananda Pandit served Vakeshwara Pandit, then Lord Chaitanya became pleased with him and revealed to him the path of devotion to Sri Krishna. So by service to Vaishnavas, then the Lord becomes pleased and he grants bhakti. That's the formula. Serve Vaishnavas, the Lord becomes pleased, then he grants bhakti. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave this teaching. What is the teaching? Quote, please never commit an offense to Vaishnavas. Your offense has been nullified by serving Vakeshwara Pandit. So the Nagna Matrika Nyaya, some shastras named that, it states that if one's mother was naked in public in her childhood, and she is not doing that now, no one gives importance to that, or no one puts her to shame or remembers that incident. When your mother was, as a little tiny girl, she was naked in public. No one gives any importance to that. So similarly, now that Devananda Pandit had been blessed by Mahaprabhu as a result of his service unto Vakeshwara Pandit, it is irrelevant that he had previously offended Srivas Pandit. So that is why, to impart this teaching, my Param Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, has included his name among the Vaishnavas to be remembered in the Navadvipa Panjika, which is what we're following. That's why we know that today is his disappearance day. So in the song called Vaishnava Vandana, number 6, it is said, Hoy Yachan Hoy Ben Prabhur Jata Das Sabar Charana Vando Dante Kori Gas. Holding a straw between my teeth, I submit at the feet of all the servants of Mahaprabhu that were or will be in the future. You know that song? It's sung every morning. You know? And one verse by verse by verse. You know who the author of the song is? Huh? Yes, but who was Devakinandan Das? Yeah. If I remember correctly, I'll have to look that up again, but I remember hearing that. So, in every verse, he's praying to all the Vaishnavas and offering his obeisances at their lotus feet. All the Vaishnavas in Braj, all the Vaishnavas in Navadvipa, all the Vaishnavas in Nilachala, all the Vaishnavas wherever they may be, all the Vaishnavas in past or in the future. So Srila Bharati Maharaj ends by saying, I pray for the mercy of Vaishnavas such as Sri Devananda Pandit, and only by their mercy we can be saved from committing Vaishnava Parad. Gaur Premanande. Srila Devananda Pandit ki jai. So Devananda Gauriya Mat, important location on this island of Koladvip.
Was he the personality, or was it another that would go and hear discourses from even non-Vaishnavas?
No, that's Mukunda. And he was also eternal associate who got severely chastised. See, Mahaprabhu taught through his associates. This is a very interesting feature of Mahaprabhu's Leelas, is that his own eternal associates were chastised by him or were rectified by him so that we could learn, So many, especially in the Antya Leela, when Mahaprabhu's in Puri and he's rectifying everyone. Okay, you know the song, Kali Kukuraka Dana Jadi Chao Hey. We don't sing it that often, but in Chaitanya's Saraswat Mat, they sing it every single Mangal Artik. That's the song they sing at Mangal Artik by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Kali Kukuraka Dana Jadi Chao Hey. And what Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying is that it can be translated in two different ways. Kukura means dog, right? Kukur. So Kali Kukur means, oh, you dogs of Kali, meaning us. Or it also means, oh, you dog-like Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga Pavana Kali Bhayanashana Sri Sachinandana Gao He. Mahaprabhu, you chant his name, Sri Sachinandan Gao He. Chant the names of Kali Yuga Pavana Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who saves everyone from the Kali Yuga. Kali Bhayanashana, who destroys all fear of Kali. That happened to us. Even we didn't know about Kali, but once we learned about it, we were already devotees, and we said, whoa, we're pretty lucky that we're not being swallowed, by Kali Yuga. We were being swallowed, but now we're saved by the pure devotees. So in that song, then Gadadharma Dana Nitayer Pranadana Advaiter Prapujita Gora Nimai Vishwambara Srinivas Ishwara Bhakata Samuha Chitta Chora Nadia Shashadhara Mayapuri Ishwara Nam Pravartana Sura Grihijana Sikshaka Nasikula Nayaka Madhava Radha Bhavapura. So these are all names of Mahaprabhu and describing his pastimes. Grihi Jana Sikshaka. Mahaprabhu in his household Leela, he became the Siksha guru of all the Grihi Jana, all the household devotees who lived in Navadvipa Dham, and almost all of them were his associates. Grihi Jana Sikshaka, who gave Siksha to them. Nasikula Nayaka. He became the emblem of all the sannyasis. Madhava Radha Bhava Pura. Actually, he's Madhava, but now he's in Radha Bhav. Sarvabhauma Shodana Gajapati Tarana Ramananda Poshana Vira, Rupananda Vardhana Sanatana Palana, Haridas Modana Dira. Now he goes to the pastimes of Mahaprabhu in Puri. Sarvabhauma Shodhana, who purified Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from his Mayavad. Gajapati Tarana, who delivered the king of Puri. Ramananda Poshana Vira. Then he went to visit South India and met Ramananda Roy. And he nourished him so much. He is the Vira, the hero of Ramananda. Rupananda Vardhana Sanatana Palana. Rupananda Vardhana, he increases the Ananda of Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Palana, he is the nourisher and the maintainer of Sanatana Goswami. Haridas Modana Dira, and Haridas Thakur, who was so sober, and then he is the attractor, the attractor of Haridas, Modan. He attracts Haridas Thakur. And Dira, Mahaprabhu, very sober. So the last line, the last verse in this song is saying, Braja Rasa Bhavana, Dushtamata Shatana, Kapati Vighatana Kama. First of all, Vraja Rasa Bhavana. He was delivering by all of his pastimes this mood of Braj Ras Bhav. Dushtamata Shatana. Anyone who had Dushtamata, what is that? A wicked mentality. They were deviating. Then he very strictly chastised them. Dushtamata Shatana. Kapati Vighatana Kama. Kama means that he's actually Kamadev, Krishna himself. Kapati Vigatana. What does Kapati mean? Kapatya Kutinati. Huh? What? Yes. Kapatya and Kutinati. These two are mentioned in the Manasiksha. So, Kapatya means someone who is a pretender. And they are deceiving individuals through Kapatya, through their cheating tendency. And Kutinati means having a very wicked mentality. So, Kapati Vigatana Kama. Kapati Vigatana means whenever he would see such a mentality, he would immediately cut it at the root. This is Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Puri as a sannyasi. And wherever he went, all throughout India, even when he came to where he instructed Srila Sanatana Goswami in Varanasi. And there, who did he correct? All the greatest Kapatya, cheating, Mayavadi, yes, Prakashananda Saraswati and all of his followers. Kapati Vigata Nakama. Then finally, at the end of that song, the last line says, Shuddha Bhakta Palana, Shushka Jnana Tarana. So Shuddha Bhakta Palana means that he is the Palan, like Krishna is the Palan of all the Brijabasis, right? Gopala, maintainer. He's the maintainer. So Mahaprabhu played this role, Shuddha Bhakta Palana. His pure bhaktas, he is their maintainer. And Shushka Jnana Tarana. What is Shushka? Shushka means dry. Dry knowledge, Gyan. Simply dry. No any liquid in it. Just dried up Gyan. Shushki Jnana Tarana. He delivers one from that. Because all the Mayavadis and all these Jnanis, they're suffering from this. Shushka Jnana. But Tarana means he delivered them from that. Kapati, no, Shushka Jnana Tarana, wait. Shuddha Bhakta Palana Shushka Jnana Tarana Chala Bhakti Dushana Rama. Chala Bhakti means cheating bhakti. That you're making some show. Chala Bhakti. Dushana. He would completely defeat that. So like this, we have so many good lessons from the Shastras and in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu and Krishna's pastimes, his avatar's pastimes. So many lessons are there to be learned. Okay, so 1:08. That means I have a little bit of time. And I told before some of you arrived that we're going to read the wonderful Ras Panchadhyaya. So the introduction by Gurudev and the introduction, the foreword by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, 10 pages long, from his special discourse on the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. Very instructive. But Gurudev wrote his introduction. This book was produced in 2008, his Hindi version. And then gradually it was translated later into English. So Gurudev writes a very pertinent and a very, very interesting introduction. Before we're going to hear the pastime of Ras, Leela, in 5 chapters of the 10th canto, now we're going to prepare ourselves by hearing Gurudev's introduction to this book. So Gurudev is saying that it is our great pleasure to present this edition of Ras Panchadhyaya, taken from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This book is born out of the causeless mercy and the inspiration of our most worshipable Guru Pada Padma, Acharya Keshari, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Padashta Tarashata, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. It is born out of his causeless mercy and his inspiration. And we have included our Acharya's commentaries, namely Srila Sridhar Swami Pad's commentary, Bhavarta Deepika, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted, Sridhar Swami. Also Srila Jiva Goswami's Sankshep Vaishnava Toshani, his commentary on these chapters. And also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sara Artha Darshani. Then furthermore, we have written our own Bhav Anubhad explanation based on the 3 Acharyas' elucidations. There were many Bengali translations of these 3 commentaries, but there was nothing in Hindi. So I hope that the Hindi-speaking public will be able to relish our Ras Panchadhyaya with the commentaries. Now, a few years ago, I spoke a series of lectures on the Sri Ras Panchadhyaya along with its commentaries. So after hearing these deliberations, my audience, they again and again, they requested me to publish these in book form in Hindi. And I could not refuse them. I do not know how this turned out. Only the readers can judge. So the Padma Purana confirms. Here's a quote from the Padma Purana, which is a very interesting quote. We've heard it before, but this time I kind of analyzed the Sanskrit here. Because this is the verse from which the description of the Srimad Bhagavatam comes. That the Bhagavatam and the different cantos represent what? Starting from Krishna's lotus feet, the different cantos up to the top of his head. There are cantos 1 through 12. So here's the actual verse. So the Padma Purana is confirming that the Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana is what? Is the very embodiment of the Hoksha Bhagavan Sri Nanda Nandana. Pado yadiyo pratamadvitiyo tritiyaturyo katito yaduru nabishtata panchama eva shashto bhujantaram dorjugalam tatanyo kantasturajan navamo yadiyo mukara vindam dashama prapullam ekadasho yasya lalatapattakam shiropi tu dvadasha eva bhati tamadi devam karunaninadham tam adi devam karunanidhanam tamalavarnam suhitavataram apara samsara samudra setum bhajamahe bhagavata swarupam. So now I'm going to test all of you. I worship the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the bridge for crossing the ocean of repeated birth and death. It has appeared for the benefit of all beings as the literary incarnation of Sri Krishna. He is the origin of all the gods. He is the storehouse of mercy, and he is black like a tamal tree. So the Srimad Bhagavatam consists of 12 cantos which correspond to the 12 different limbs of the Lord's body. So now we're beginning with the first canto, and I'm testing all of you. Which part of the Lord's body is the first, and I'll give you a good hint, and the second canto? First and second canto are what? Yes, you are correct. First and second, 2 feet. Not hard to remember. Then, the third and the fourth canto are his what? His thighs. His thighs. Third and fourth canto. Fifth canto is his navel. Navel. The Padma. Yes. Yes. Nabha. Nabha means navel, and Padma means lotus. So Padmanabha means lotus navel. Which canto is his lotus navel? Fifth canto. The sixth canto is chest and mighty shoulders. His chest and his mighty shoulders are which canto? Sixth canto. His seventh and eighth canto are his arms. Ninth canto is his throat. The 10th canto is his blooming lotus face. 11th canto is his forehead. And the 12th canto is his head. Now we know that Krishna is manifested fully in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why Prabhupada told us that if you don't have any deities, you can simply place Srimad Bhagavatam and perform artik to Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's Krishna himself. So now in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahapurana, chapters 29 through 33 are known as Sri Ras Panchadhyaya. So in the very beginning of his commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has proclaimed these 5 chapters to be the 5 whats of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that these 5 chapters are to be the 5 somethings of Srimad Bhagavatam. How many life heirs do we have? 5. These are the 5 life heirs of Srimad Bhagavatam, these 5 chapters. Now there are 2 types of Ras Leela. Did you know that? That there's 2 types of Ras Leela? One type is called Nitya, and the other is Maha. Now the Adi Purana mentions the Nitya Ras, and the Srimad Bhagavatam describes Maha Ras. And again, this Maha Ras is divided into 2. Autumn, Sharadiya, and Vasanta, springtime. Actually, Ras Leela takes place every full moon night, but only Sharadiya and Vasanta have been recorded in the Shastras. So that's why when we went all around Braj Mandala with Gurudev, here's a Rasa Stali, here's another Rasa Stali, another Rasa Stali. And I remember asking or hearing from Gurudev that actually Krishna performs Ras all throughout Braj Mandala. He performs Rasa dance. Now, so the Sharadiya Ras, that means the autumn Ras, is described where? In Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the 5 chapters of Sharadiya Ras. And the Gita Govinda of Jayadev Goswami, it gives an account of the Vasanta Ras, the springtime Ras. So the subject matter of the book in hand is the Sharadiya Ras. That's what these 5 chapters are. So Bhagavan, he performs his pleasure-filled pastimes to bestow mercy upon his devotees. That's why he does it. Did you know that? Krishna, he performs all of his pleasure-filled pastimes to bestow mercy upon his devotees. Indeed, he has manifested this Ras Leela to show special favor to those who have taken shelter of Madhur Ras. He manifested it for those who have taken shelter of Madhur Rasa. His amorous pastimes are called Madhur Rasa. So hearing about the sweet moods of the Madhur Rasa gopis, the devotees become inspired to enter Rag Marg Bhajan, the path of spontaneous devotion under the guidance of who? Gopis. What happens when you hear about the sweet moods of the Madhur Ras gopis? Then the devotees become inspired to enter Rag Marg Bhajan. Do we want to enter there? That's why we're going to hear this. So, because that will give inspiration to entering into Rag Marg Bhajan, which is the path of spontaneous devotion. And how can you enter into that? You have to be under the guidance of the gopis. That's the only way. Now, Brahma and Indra too, they had a doubt about Sri Krishna being the Supreme Godhead. So for 1 year after Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys, Krishna himself took the forms of those calves and the cowherd boys. And this convinced Brahma of the truth. So he offered prayers, glorifying Sri Krishna as Parabrahma, as the Supreme Lord. Now Indra, he was also skeptical, and he sent torrential rains. But his pride was smashed when Sri Krishna held Giriraj Govardhan aloft. Indra then came with the Surabhi cow to beg forgiveness and to perform Abhishek of Krishna. Where did he do that? Govinda Kund, where our Sajan Maharaj is currently residing. So, the Surabhi cow also came there to help him beg forgiveness. And here we have Surabhi Kunj, where the Surabhi cow came after that pastime to the island of Godruma. And that cow, we have a deity of that cow there at the temple. And that Surabhi cow rescued who? Markandeya Rishi, who was floating in the waters of devastation. So Gurudev has explained that these two great personalities, they did not realize, or they forgot, or they became skeptical that Krishna is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Kamadev, you know who that is? Kamadev? Huh? Yeah, there's different Kamadevs. Gurudev is going to explain this here. Kamadev also thought that Krishna was an ordinary cowherd boy, and he came to defeat him. The proud Kamadev had already conquered Sri Brahma, he had conquered Indra, Chandra, other demigods, who had previously thought that the cause of all causes, Sri Krishna, to be ordinary. So Kamadev challenged Krishna. Can you imagine? He challenged Krishna and summoned him to enter the arena. Krishna gladly accepted the challenge. Millions of gopis formed an impenetrable circle, and Kamadev stepped inside. It was a beautiful full moon night on the bank of the Yamuna, where fragrant breezes were blowing through the secluded bowers. All of these elements manifested to serve Kamadev's purpose. But Sri Krishna performed Ras Leela. And when Kamadev witnessed Krishna's supreme beauty in the circle of the gopis, he was stupefied. Indeed, Manmata Manmata, Sri Krishna soundly defeated him. You know this term, Manmata, Manmata. This is in one of the introductory verses of the Ras Panchadhyaya. And in the Gopi Geet, when Krishna appeared to the gopis after they prayed all their songs, and it said there that he looked exactly like Manmata Manmata, the attractor of Cupid. So Kamadev was soundly defeated by Krishna. Now Bhagavan Sri Vedavyas's son, who's named what? Vedavyas is Bhagavan. He's incarnation. What's his son's name? Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. But what was he? He was completely renounced throughout his whole life. This crown jewel of swan-like liberated sages was beyond the influence of the illusory energy. Indeed, he did not even know the difference between male and female. If this Ras Leela were a mundane, lusty affair, then such an exalted personality would not have described this in front of who? All the Deva Rishis. The Deva Rishis means the sages amongst the demigods. What other kind of Rishis? Maha Rishis, great sages. Vipra rishis, Brahmin sages, Raja rishis, saintly kings. They were all there. And if this Ras Leela were a mundane, lusty affair, why would such an exalted personality as Shukadeva Goswami describe this in front of all those sages? Huh? They were all present in Sri Parikshit Maharaj's assembly. So if it were something vulgar, then he would have referred to Sri Krishna as Bhogeshwar, the king of enjoyers, or Kameshwar, the lord of lust. But instead he addressed him as Atmaram, who finds his satisfaction within. He addressed him as Yogeshwar, the supreme master of all mystic powers. And at the end of the Ras Leela, Sri Shukadev said the famous verse, Vikriditam vrajavadubiridam cha Vishnu shraddhanvitam anushinuyat atavarnayedya. So this is at the end of the whole Ras Leela. And then Shukadev said this verse, which means hearing this pastime of Sri Krishna, who is the hero of the Ras Leela, what does it do? What does that hearing do? This pastime about Sri Krishna, who is the hero of the Ras Leela, what does it do? It completely expels the disease of lust in the heart. And it bestows the supreme bhakti at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. So Krishna's victory over Kandarpa, Cupid, therefore his victory, he has earned the title Sakshat Manmata Manmata, directly the enchanter of Cupid. And the devotees, they call him Madan Mohan, who bewilders Cupid. Now, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila, chapter 5, Sriman Mahaprabhu, the crown jewel of all omniscient persons, he told Sri Pradyumna Mishra in glorification of Ramananda Roy. You know that whole pastime? Where Pradyumna Mishra was brought and told that you want to see a pure, you should go and see Ramananda Roy. So this is what Mahaprabhu is telling to Pradyumna Mishra. Vrajavadu sange Krishna rasa divilas, jay jana kohe sune koriya vishvas. Hrid rog kam tar tatkale hoy kshoy, teen gun shobha nahe mahadir hoy. Ujvala madhur prem bhakti se pai, anande Krishna madhurye vihare sadai. Here's the translation. This is what Mahaprabhu is telling to Pradyumna Mishra. When a person hears about Sri Krishna's Ras Leela and also his other Leelas from the lips of the devotees with full faith, and then he relates these pastimes to others, what happens? The disease of material lust is immediately removed from his heart. The three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they cannot arouse material desires in him whatsoever. So the result of such hearing is that he is lifted above the material modes, and thus he no longer becomes agitated. Indeed, he becomes deeply peaceful. He comes to understand that holding on to material desires will stand in the way of his attaining pure prem. He understands that. And so he achieves the most relishable, unmotivated prem bhakti endowed with the moods of the selfless gopis. And then he always basks in the bliss of Sri Krishna's sweetness. Then, taking support of these words uttered by Sriman Mahaprabhu, then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he has written in his commentary that Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Ras Leela is the very best of all of his pastimes. Did you know that? All of Krishna's pastimes, this is the very best. Ras Leela. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling, indeed, it is the crown jewel of all the Leelas. And if one hears and then describes this pastime by speaking or writing about it with complete faith in the words of the scriptures, this will bring about his greatest welfare. So if one does this regularly, then he attains prem bhakti, even while material desires still lurk in the heart. Did you hear that? If one does this regularly, does what? Hears and then describes this pastime, speaking or writing about it with complete faith in the words of the scriptures, this will bring about his greatest welfare. And if one does this regularly, he attains prem bhakti, even while material desires still lurk in the heart. It's very important, the sequence here. And eventually, the influence of that prem, it drives out the disease of lust and all the other ailments. These two processes go on simultaneously, but prem manifests first. Anyone can achieve success by following this process, and no qualification is required. Gurudev told this many times. He used to emphasize this point. Because there are some individuals who say, first you have to be purified of all anarthas and lust and greed and everything before you can hear this Ras Leela pastime of Krishna. There are individuals who have preached that philosophy. But is that the fact? Gurudev said no. He said, not even in thousands of lifetimes, that all of your anarthas and everything, they will go away. That first you have to get rid of your anarthas and then you can hear this. He said, no. They will never go away by that process of you trying to get rid of your anarthas. No. He says, you hear this Ras Leela pastime with faith from the lips of pure Vaishnavas, and what will take place is it's so powerful that gradually prem will enter into the heart. First, even while the material desires are still lurking there in the heart. Right? Because then what happens? Then by that, eventually the influence of that prem drives out the disease of lust and other ailments. So these two processes, they go on simultaneously, but prem manifests first. Anyone can achieve success by following this process. No qualification is required. So do you remember? Way back in the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada wrote some letters to devotees. There's more than one. And I specifically remember that Prabhupada wrote to Hayagriva in particular, way in the very beginning. And what did he tell him?
It's the deity worship. I'm hearing this, that, what do you call it, Mr. Lust will go away.
Yeah, because this was also before the Krishna book. Before the Krishna book was printed and published. Prabhupada also told to devotees, if you are feeling like agitated by these mundane desires, then you should read Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. and especially his Ras Leela. We have a god brother who did that. You know what his name was? He's now departed. He's the father of one of our favorite devotees, Mithiladish, father of Kishori Mohan. And he himself told me this, because whenever I would visit in Eugene, Oregon, and I would spend time with him each time that I would go there, we were very heart brothers. And he told me, he mentioned this, how this saved him. Because he was feeling so agitated. He was young and he was new and, but this lust was very, very much prominent in his mind and heart. So what did he do? He read Ras Leela from the Krishna book. And he did this repeatedly and repeatedly whenever this came. And it proved to be the solution. It curbed and diminished. That's the power of the Ras Leela. Now, by cultivating this Ras Leela, then one can understand that the Brajabasis, they're very dear to Krishna. And one can also understand that out of all of the Brajabasis, his beloved gopis are the special recipients of his love. That's by cultivating this Ras Leela, you'll know that. You'll understand. Their devotion to Krishna, the gopis' special devotion to Krishna, is spotless. For him, they have given up the bondage of love for husband, father, mother, brother, and other relatives. And furthermore, they throw chastity, social restrictions, and other moral codes, they throw them to the wind and they run to him. What do they throw to the wind? Chastity, social restrictions, moral codes. They throw that to the wind and then they run to him. Therefore, even though Sri Krishna is the Supreme Lord himself, and he is the best of the Aptakam and the Atmaram personalities, and he is the reservoir of all opulences, he was forced to admit in front of all the Braja Gopis the following, quote, "The flag of my love for you is flying at high mast, broadcasting your glorious victory over me. Even if I were to live as long as the demigods, I would not be able to pay you back for what you have done for me. Out of your kindness, you may agree to release me from this debt, but really and truly, I will remain indebted to you for all time." So, and of all the Braja Gopis, Krishna's top most beloved is who? Shri Radha. Who is she? She is the embodiment of Mahabhav, and specifically Madanakya Mahabhav. It dwells only in her heart. It is not found even in Lalita, and even in the other Sakhis, or even in Akhil Rasamrita Sindhu, Shri Krishna himself, who is the ocean of all expressions of love. He is the ocean. Akhil Rasamrita Sindhu, that's Krishna. But he doesn't have that. Madanakya Mahabhav. Only Sri Radha is the Rasheshvari. She is the mistress of the circle dance. And without her, there is no question of Ras. No question, without her. In this way, through the Ras Leela, Sri Krishna has proclaimed the greatness of the Braja Gopis and especially of Sri Radha. And Sukadeva Goswami, who is the crown jewel of all Paramahansas, he called Rasa Bihari Sri Bhagavan Sakshat Manmata Manmata. Directly the attractor of Cupid. So, Pradyumna, here's an interesting Siddhanta for us. Pradyumna, who is in the Chaturvyuha. Who's the Chaturvyuha? Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So who is Pradyumna specifically? He's actually Sakshat Manmata as well. His quality of also being the enchanter of Cupid comes directly from Rasa Bihari Sri Krishna. So in the material realm, the demigod Cupid, he churns the hearts of ordinary human beings, making them feel that they have fallen in love. But mundane Kamadev is merely a shadow of an expansion of the expansions of Pradyumna. It is this mundane Kamadev who was so bewildered by Ras Bihari Sri Krishna at the beginning of the Ras Leela that he fainted in his excitement to serve him. This Ras Bihari, Madan Mohan, is a fresh youth, Navakishore, dressed as a cowherd boy, Gopavesha. He's holding the flute, Venukara. He's the best of dancers, Natavara. He goes to the hearts of very fortunate persons where he captivates the worldly Cupid. And when this material Madan faints, Krishna tugs at their heartstrings. So now, these persons' hearts are continuously churning with the desire to attain their spiritual body, favorable for serving Madan Mohan, exclusively in Madhur Ras, the amorous mellow. Okay, we're almost at the end. Now, Akhil Rasamrita Murti, Sri Bhagavan, Krishna, what's he called? Akhil what? Akhil what? Say the whole thing. Akhil Rasamrita Murti. What does Murti mean? Form. So he is the Akhil Rasamrita Murti. He is what? He is the Murti, the very form of Akhil Rasa Amrita. That means all ras, all nectar of rasa. He is the personified form of that. So Akhil Rasamrita Murti, Sri Bhagavan, he is the enjoyer of four rasas. What are those four rasas? Dasya ras, Sakya ras, Vatsalya ras, and Madhur. These are four. He is the enjoyer of four rasas, but his topmost beauty manifests in Madhur ras. It doesn't manifest. His topmost beauty does not manifest in the other three rasas, only in Madhur ras. The special moods that he displays, they depend on the particular dham and the particular associates with whom he appears. And it is with the Vraja Devis that his sweetness increases to the highest degree. His sweetness increases in front of the Vraja Devis to the highest degree. And during the Ras Leela, his sweetness and his attractiveness are experienced to the ultimate degree. Ultimate. What is experienced in the Ras Leela? To the ultimate degree, his sweetness and attractiveness. How attractive, how sweet. They are experienced to the ultimate degree. This Ras Bihari Madan Mohan, is directly Sakshat Manmata. Again, we're hearing the same thing. Repeat after me. Sakshat. Sakshat Manmata. And then again, Manmata. Sakshat Manmata. Sakshat Manmata. Again. That means he is the attractor of who? Who is Manmata in the material world, who attracts everyone by his potency, but he is directly the attractor of that Cupid. So the crown jewel of all of his beloveds is Sri Radharani, who is what? The embodiment of Mahabhav. That's what her body is made of. Mahabhav. She's the embodiment of Mahabhav. And she relishes the happiness of serving Sri Krishna. And she facilitates his tasting bliss in Ras and in other Leelas in Vrindavan. Krishna was not able to repay the gopis for the love-filled seva that they rendered to him in the Ras Leela. Thus he feels ever indebted to them. But this entity, which is called Prem, is beyond our imagination. Prem, this entity called Prem, is beyond our imagination. One who has relished it on the strength that it bestows, that person cannot describe its characteristics. And in the end, the only words that they can utter is Madhur, Madhur, how sweet, how sweet. So Rasa Rasika, Sri Krishna himself, he has said, and this is quoted from the Brihad Vaman Purana, which is quoted by Rupa Goswami and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and this is Sri Krishna himself. Rasa Rasika Sri Krishna himself is saying this. Santi yadyapi me prajya lilastas ta manohara nahi jane smrite rase mano me kidrisham bhavet. Krishna himself is telling, I enjoy many pastimes, and all of them, they are enchanting pastimes, but Ras Leela is so powerful that as soon as I think about it, I can't explain what happens to my heart. This is what Krishna is telling. So there are no words to describe his condition when he is drowning in the flood of the nectar of rasa. Not rasa, not rasa. There's rasa and rasa, okay? With a line over it. Never confuse these two ever again. Rasa means ras, bhakti ras. Rasa means the dance, okay? It's called rasa dance. You cannot say rasa dance. It's rasa dance, okay? So there are no words to describe Krishna's condition when he is drowning in the flood of the nectar of rasa. He's going absolutely mad as he relishes supreme bliss. Indeed, he gets completely overwhelmed just remembering it. So in Ras Leela, no one has even a scent of desire for one's personal gratification. No one there has even the scent of it. Therefore, guess what Sridhar Swamipad has called this Leela? He has called it the ultimate Nivritti Para, the ultimate renunciation. Nivritti Pareyam Rasa Panchadhyaya iti vyakti karishyama. I will be describing detachment as generated in Ras Panchadhyaya. Sri Krishna himself, he has no desire to please his own senses. Did you know that? Yeah. Krishna has no desire to please his own senses. His only desire is to give pleasure to the hearts of the devotees. That's Krishna's only desire. And he himself has said this in the Padma Purana. He says, Mad bhaktanam vinodartam karomi vividha kriya. I engage in a vast variety of pastimes just to entertain my dear devotees in every mellow. However, the primary purpose, however, of his existence is to what? Is to fulfill the Braja Devi's heartfelt yearnings. That's the primary purpose of Krishna's existence. And thus he performs Ras Leela, by which he also tastes untold joy. So, Krishna's sweetness is so inconceivable that it awakens a tremendous enthusiasm to relish it in the heart of whoever hears about his charming pastimes. And eventually this enthusiasm overpowers him with such greed. The devotee who's hearing the pastimes becomes overpowered by this enthusiasm, and it empowers him with such greed that he takes shelter. He takes the shelter of a guru and dedicates himself to bhajan. But there is one point to be emphasized in regard to hearing this katha. Here it is. One must hear only from a Vaishnava who is relishing Krishna's sweetness in his heart at every moment. An intense desire consequently arises in the heart of the hearer. But if you hear from one who is in the grip of anarthas, all you will gain is anarthas. Ordinary persons, not knowing the secret realities of the past times, they actually take Krishna and the Braja Gopis in the completely wrong way, and they even show contempt for them. Ordinary people. You know that in India? Yeah? Who is this lusty people? Because they have no real high sadhu sangha. So they completely misunderstand. So, ordinary persons, not knowing the secret realities of the past times, they actually take Krishna and the Braja Gopis in the wrong way, and they show contempt for them. But by hearing pure devotees' deliberations on this book, it will surely wash away that mistaken understanding. So that's why Gurudev is giving this in Hindi for the whole Indian population. And Gurudev says, hearing pure devotees' deliberations on this book will surely wash away that mistaken understanding, and of this I am completely sure. So Gurudev ends by saying, I have full faith that the Raganuga sadhakas who are thirsty for Braj Ras Bhakti, they will deeply appreciate this book. The faithful devotee will read this book and thus become qualified to receive the great treasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prem. And due to the pressure of time, there may be some mistakes. I request the reader to correct them while reading. Finally, I appeal to my most worshipable Guru Pada Padma, who is the condensed embodiment of Bhagavan's mercy, that he showers me with profuse mercy, and he thus enables me to fulfill his innermost desire. This is my prayer at his lotus feet, which bestow Krishna Prem. Praying for the mercy of Sri Hari Guru and Vaishnavas on the disappearance day of Srila Guru Pada Padma, Saradiya Ras Purnima, 14th of October, 2008. The wretched and fallen, Dinheen, Swami B.V. Narayan. Gaur Premanande. So, yes. So Gurudev is telling that he has full faith that Raganuga sadhaks, which is what we're hoping to one day become, yes? Are we hoping to become Raganuga sadhakas and to surpass the stage of what? Vaidhi sadhana? And that we can develop some attraction and some greed? Yes. And as we gradually hear these things, then we will develop more qualification to enter into the pathway of Raganuga Bhakti. And then we will become thirsty. For what? For Braj Ras Bhakti. So Gurudev says those types of sadhakas will deeply appreciate this book. And the faithful devotee will read this book and he will thus become qualified. By reading this book, will thus become qualified to receive the great treasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Prem. So, why did Prabhupada give the Krishna book? In, 1968? The Krishna book, Prabhupada. Maybe it was 69, but in the book of Shyamasundar Prabhu, he's describing the incident where Prabhupada gave him the color separations that were sent to him, how he's going to publish this Krishna book. And he told Shyamasundar that he has to approach George Harrison. And so the day that he went to approach George Harrison, guess who was with George Harrison? The top sculptor of the royal family who sculpted their images. George Harrison became associated with that person. So they went together with Shyamasundar to a marble factory in England on that day. And they were choosing marble for what? For the gift that George wanted to give to the new temple in London for the altar marble. And George was very happy to do this. And so they went there, and then after that, then they came back to George Harrison's house. And at that time, Shyamasundur's wife and George Harrison's wife, which I think was Patty Boyd at that time, before his later wife, they were cooking together in the kitchen, and they were making nice prasadam to serve for a party at his house that night. And now they're all sitting at the table, like a dining table. And I tell you, Shyamasundar was very reluctant. He even told that to Srila Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, I'm really worried, I'm really concerned that if I approach George Harrison to ask him to give more money, he's already giving so many, and we never ask him, and that's one of the reasons why we have access, because we never ask him, And I'm afraid that if I do, then Prabhupada told, as Shyamasundar took the color separations and went out the door to go to meet, Prabhupada called him at the doorway. He said, "You will see, don't worry." And then what happened? They're sitting there at the table, all happy. And then finally, Shyamasundar just gets up enough by the order of Prabhupada, and he says to George, he says, George, I just want to inform you that Srila Prabhupada wanted me to tell you about that he's going to be publishing a new book, and George is immediately listening. And he starts to show him like the color separations of the paintings, and it's a very important book. He's telling about this, but as it gets closer and closer to the moment where he has to say, well, Srila Prabhupada is requesting specifically from you that you will pay for the printing cost of this book. So he didn't get that far. But George, is described in Shyama Sundar's book, George's face just like lost all of its glow. And in his eyes, you know. And just as Shyama Sundar was about to say, what happened? There was a huge, gigantic thunder. Gigantic, the whole house shook. And then the electricity, the lights went off. Just at that moment. So they're all sitting there in the darkness, and they're trying to find where are any candles or this or that, and 1 or 2 minutes, 3 minutes goes by. Suddenly the lights come back on. George's face is full of a gigantic smile. And he says, so how much was it that Prabhupada wants? Yes. These are the amazing miracles of the pure devotees. So anyway, what was that in relation to? That I told this. Oh, but why Prabhupada printed the Krishna book? You have to ask. Prabhupada didn't print the Krishna book and say, this 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam should only be read by such and such. Did he say? Did he give any restriction whatsoever? No. It doesn't say in the introduction, in the preface, anywhere. Of course, it's explained that one should hear from pure devotees and so forth. But here it is. Here it is. And this was to be distributed on the streets of every major city in the entire world, in all the languages of the world, including Ruski Yazik, Krishna book. And when I came into the temple, first time entering the temple in 1970, August 3rd, and then I went into the temple room, and there it was. This big, beautiful, shining book with a silver cover, and these two beautiful persons on the cover, Krishna, and I didn't know who the Radha was quite yet, And I started looking through the book and looking at all the paintings and everything, And as the days went by, this is what we read. In the Sankirtan van going to Sankirtan, in the Sankirtan van coming back to the temple, while we are taking prasadam, we read Krishna book. Yeah, we read Krishna book. And we distributed. We weren't so good in those early days at distributing big books. That technique kind of didn't manifest and develop quite yet. So we were a little bit not competent, not confident to approach people. I remember like that first whole year doing Harinam Sankirtan and then approaching people, and we had enough like courage to give them a small magazine which we would ask for 25 cents or something like that, Prabhupada used to say. But the big books, and what was happening was all throughout whatever temples had been opened, all the books that had been shipped there, the big books, Teaching Lord Chaitanya, Nectar of Devotion, now the Krishna book, even Bhagavad Gita. They're all like accumulating and sitting there in the book rooms. But then what took place? A miracle took place by the will of the pure devotee. And one, I don't know, you know the actual order of it because you were actually there and you witnessed and you know the devotees and all that. But what I heard was it was Buddhimanta. Buddhimanta, classic Sankirtan devotee, who was so intense that when he spoke with people and showed them the book, veins popped out on his neck. And he would also cry at their doorstep. But we were in, where were we at that time? Like in Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin, in the middle of January, in the winter snows and ice, and we're hearing what's going on in California. That the devotees have broken through this barrier. They're just taking box of books on their shoulder in the suburban, what do you call it? The living areas of the suburbs, and they're just going from one house to another and just crossing across their lawn and laying the box in front of the door, ringing the doorbell. And they're selling directly, like a lot of books. Then what was next in this historical remembrance session of ours? What happened then? The vans?
They were doing door to door in the Bay Area, but then
Yeah.
Let's just load up vans with books and brahmacharis and head out.
And head out to where? Where would they distribute them? And where in the towns? Where would they go?
Well, no, they were
Door to door. Oh, okay. So the same principle, door to door, with the big books, a whole box of them. They didn't use trolleys. They just carried it on their shoulders. No, they had. Luggage trolleys. You know luggage trolleys, the foldable.
I remember always carrying book bags.
Yeah, because that's...
I think it would have been nice to have wheels on them.
Because you were supposed to do more austerity.
Buddhi Mantra would sometimes distribute 100 books a day.
Right.
100 books.
Yeah. I know. Then what happened next? Do you remember?
There were letters telling all the temples what was happening in San Francisco, and Prabhupada responded that, you're
Can you talk into the mic? Yeah. Prabhupada responded and said what?
Oh, I'm finally so pleased. I've been waiting for this. And I will be very pleased that all temples engage in the same way, book distribution.
Yeah. When did going in plain clothes to the airport start?
Oh,
How did that start and when?
I actually believe
'Cause
that started in Los Angeles, not San
It
Francisco.
did, yeah.
Yeah, and
And I think it was Tripurari who was the first one.
And he came in 1971 or 72. He came early 72, and that story is amazing. Someone was sent to open a temple in Santa Cruz, couldn't find the right building, so he opened one in Monterey, and right next door was Tripurari,
Right.
who joined. And
He was with his wife or girlfriend at that time.
Wife and baby.
And even had a baby, okay. Right, and it was living where? Right next to where they opened the temple. So what happened?
So he went to, because he couldn't facilitate him, he sent them to Los Angeles. He, first of all, read the books and was totally convinced and wanted to surrender. So he said, well, in Los Angeles, there's a household community, you and your wife and newborn can live there. And then he was fired up to distribute any place where people were en masse, which happened to be airports. And
What happened to his household life?
well, actually, his wife and baby came down to Laguna Beach, and he remained just absorbed in book distribution. That was his sannyas, just distributing books from
Did they stay?
morning till night.
No. The wife, his wife and baby, they did.
I heard they went to Colorado or something. I went up to San Francisco at that time.
Okay. So. But, okay, so they discovered, and this was the first time, they courageously disguised themselves. The first time that the devotees started to go out into the public without the shaved head, the tilak, and the dhotis and all of that. And they just wore regular plain clothes and with a hat on, or they even bought wigs. You know wig? Wig is the artificial hair, or, and they would wear wigs. We all did.
So they wouldn't be discovered as they were distributing in the airports. They could
Right.
surreptitious.
Right. So undercover preaching. And then there was a whole slew of letters that were written, I remember back then, to Prabhupada asking him, is this okay, is this authorized, etc., etc. Because at one point, they started just like getting hippie hair wigs and wearing just hippie clothes and stuff, But Prabhupada didn't like that. He allowed them, okay, you can dress conservatively as a respectable gentleman. And that's why in the airports especially, because they're dealing with a lot of like traveling business people and so forth, and so they all wore neckties. Yeah.
Hide the neck beads.
Yeah. And so, Srila Prabhupada gradually, all of the praman was collected together, and it became pretty much the ultimate siddhanta, that Srila Prabhupada loves it when his books are distributed. And then they collected all the different quotes from Srila Prabhupada. One of the famous quotes, which I remember really stands out for me, is that Prabhupada said that when I hear the report of the book distribution, the number of books and so forth, my lifespan increases. So everyone, okay, we want Prabhupada to live forever. We're just going to continue to distribute books. So this whole fervor of Samkirtan. Now there was like a little bit of a clash between those who came in the very beginning, and that's all we did, was we just danced and chanted all day long. We didn't go out. But then became a new era where now paraphernalia came. Incense sticks. And that you're told that you should stand in front of this electric open-closed doorway at a supermarket.
This is post-Prabhupada.
No. This is 72. I remember, because Bhagavan.
It used to do with back to Godheads, incense and back to Godheads. Yeah.
Well, okay, they're like paraphernalia, But it certainly was not post. Are you kidding? What about the Christmas Santa Claus thing?
Well,
That's 75. What are you talking about?
I was from LA in 73.
Yeah.
And in Westwood, that was famous for the movies in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And so people would wait in long lines to go in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to go while they're waiting, because they'd wait an hour to get in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just go boom, boom, boom. Each person was
Dressed in
standing
what?
there waiting. So at first, saris.
Yeah.
And I got half of my money to go to India by selling incense on the movie lines.
Okay.
Pandu.
Wherever
Sky had these.
Wherever there was like a collection
Right.
of people, the devotees targeted those places. Then came, the all-out siege of the airports all throughout America, and I think even some in Europe and other places, but especially America, because they had certain laws, and then eventually the airports opened up legally. At first they were trying to stop it, but because of the Constitution and this and that, somehow or other, it became possible, right?
You had to get permits, that's what you used to do, right?
Yeah, there were different phases, different stages. But anyway, the thing is that the Krishna book, we were telling the other day, Chaitanya Charitamrita, fresh off of the press, all the books, they were given full permission from Srila Prabhupada. They could distribute them to anyone. And in the airports, then came that phenomena that happened where people were being practically forced, to take books by tricking and all of these things. What was it called? The change up and other.
Well, it started turning into Lakshmi points.
Well, I watched Jadharani, Shamarani, and Shivani, because I was wanting to see how they were distributing books. They were
Microphone?
They were so aggressive. You can't even imagine.
Yeah.
They would approach men, and the men didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
They were going to, they were just their energy. The man was like bewildered. He had to turn over his money. They wouldn't let them go. They were so aggressive. It's amazing. But it worked.
Yeah, so, then there was collections of letters from Prabhupada, and there was certainly a lot of concern, and even amongst the book distributors, like someone like Gopavrindapal, I know he had certain technique which was not aggressive, but then there's others that really pushed the aggressive techniques.
By the way, they were sweet. I don't want to misunderstand. The
but
girls
some
were
weren't.
sweet.
The girls were.
They were still intense.
But I have witnessed with my own eyes and ears certain of the very famous book distributors in the airport stopping a businessman and talking to him and loading him up with like books and just there was a whole methodology which they were also teaching. And they, this particular incident I'm watching there, the man started to get the wind that I'm being like taken advantage of, and then he just kept on telling him, I already told you I don't want, but he just kept on giving him. And so he had a number of books, and then what he did was he just put it down on the floor and walked away. So, but the point is, the philosophy of book distribution had certain negative periods of negative impression, which Prabhupada didn't like, but they used a quotation from Srila Prabhupada in one of his letters. That letter in which he was talking about catching the big fish without getting wet? And then he summarized what he was saying is, he said, the thing is that by hook or by crook, get them to take the book. But the word crook means something different in American English than it did in British English, where it was used. You know what the crook was? It was a cane with a hook on it. And when the persons were on stage and they weren't performing, then the hook came and just pulled them off the stage. So that became the crook. But they actually, Anyway, Srila Prabhupada knew this was going on.
You didn't mention that in English, crook means like a criminal.
Yeah, it means a crook, somebody who steals, he's crook.
English.
Yes. In American English, the word crook, he's a crook, he's a dirty, filthy crook.
Yeah. That meant you could do anything to sell a book, which wasn't what Prabhupada meant.
Yes, but some devotees did that. They interpreted it that way,
And it was lost in translation.
When there was a film that was made and distributed to the temples, and Prabhupada heard about it, he stopped it immediately and said, I don't want this kind of technique, taught. He says it's just the sincerity of the book distributor which will sell the book.
Yeah. Of course, there were some basic principle, how to approach the person and so forth, which could be utilized properly, But the principle of selling the book on the merit of the book is what Srila Prabhupada told ultimately. He says, you want to sell the book to the person on the merit of the book. I think to this very day in ISKCON, one of the famous book distributors, who's now a guru in ISKCON in the Bay Area, what's his name? Vaishasika. Vaishasika. You can see there are many videos of him. He's actually showing the techniques, how to be very nice to people, how to interest them like that. So that's helpful. And but anyway, this all started from discussing the publication of the Krishna book and for being distributed en masse to the entire world in any language, the pastimes of Krishna. So that was a major turning point. And of course, in that period of 7 years, from 70 when I joined and when it really started, to book distribution really started, then for those years it just like exploded everywhere, all over the world. And millions upon millions of books. I don't know what the figure is. I'm sure they've counted it up, the actual figure of how many hundreds of millions of books were distributed by the time before Prabhupada even left the planet. And then what?
It got up to 500 billion, 500 million.
When? Before he left the planet.
No, it's after, but it was maybe in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, 500 million. So it's definitely up to 1 billion by now, or more.
That's 500 billion, 500 million.
Yes, 500 million. That's what I said. I said it's definitely up to 1 billion, or more. Or
Books you distributed right in Mayapur.
yeah. So, but in those days, the sacred ceremony after Mangal Artik was what? Telling the book distribution scores, even before you chanted your japa. So, anyway, we've reminisced amongst ourselves, us oldies, and the newer devotees have heard. But this movement is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and it's going everywhere. And the techniques of introducing this movement to the conditioned souls are innumerable. But the main thing is that, certain individuals are waiting for this. Certain individuals, they're waiting for this. I was watching some video that was by our god sister Bhumi Devi, who is always a book distributor through all the years. You know Bhumi? Yeah, so she lives on Monterey area somewhere.
She moved to Alachua.
Okay, now yeah, she moved over to Alachua. But she was making videos of her approaching people with books. And they're so sweet to watch those videos and how happy the people are. She would, of course, select people that expressed like a certain amount of happiness to receive the book. And she would say, oh, what do you think of these books? How are these books going to help you? Do you have, like that? So, truly, it's a very great benediction that a conditioned soul receives a transcendental piece of literature, because as we said yesterday, or the day before yesterday, that when it's there in their house, sitting on their shelf, what is going on is that rays, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, divine rays are emanating from the book. Rays. You can't see them with your eyes, but they're emanating from the book in that vicinity, within that house, even if it's just sitting on the shelf. Because the book is Krishna, right? We just heard that today, Gurudev told. Book is Krishna. All right, so we'll finish now. Our next class is on Saturday, correct? Yeah. No, whatever schedule I gave, I'm just sticking completely to that, but this is like practically the end of December, so there's only 5 days till the 31st. So on the schedule I have this Saturday, this coming Saturday, day after tomorrow. And then after that is the last class on Tuesday, which is the 31st. This is the last day of 2024. And it's New Year's Eve's day. And that's also the appearance day of Lochan Das Thakur. So those are the two classes, and then I looked through the whole calendar of January. It's very open to continue with our dates like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, mostly. But then in a couple of places we have to move it to Monday, like for Lord Nityananda's appearance day and like that. But that's the program. More hearing of nectar.
And on those big appearance days, it might be a Bhaktivedanta Kunj.
Yes.
I talked to Sukanta yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was of the opinion that you wanted to go there once a week. He said he would cook if you wanted to.
Acha. Okay. We can do it. We can decide amongst ourselves which day, or the day can also be shifted according to the festivals and the calendar and so forth.
Needs to be informed ahead of time.
How much ahead? Just one day, huh? Okay. That's nice. That's nice. So we'll see if we can do it once a week. We'll see if that works out. But of course, in January, we have a Dvaita Saptami. And then we also have Nityananda Trayodasi after that. So I think on both days we should have a festival there.
And Gurudev's appearance day is on the 29th.
Yeah, Gurudev's appearance day is the other really prominent big one. Also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's. Yeah.
According to Madhukar
Uh-huh.
and his group, they said they wanted to come here.
On which day?
Gurudev's disappearance.
No, appearance?
His appearance, yeah.
That's what I heard, but you can check on that.
Okay, I mean, that's good because Gurudev Samadhi is here and we can have the program here and just the devotees have to agree that they will on that day come across from Mayapur, all the other devotees, you know.
Well, the first is a Wednesday, so
Let me,
that would be, it would be a Wednesday. 28 plus 1. So the 29th would be a Wednesday, so his appearance day would be on Wednesday.
Okay, so December, January. Okay, on the 29th, which is a Wednesday of January, that is the 104th appearance day of Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj. That is the 29th. And then that's like the end of January, but in February are the big days of Nityananda Trayodasi, Advaita, Acharya, like that. So that's the most prominent in the month of January, I think, of all the festival days. But we can look at the calendar and then we can decide which day to go over to Bhaktivedanta Kunj. But in February, Advaita Saptami is on the 5th, a Wednesday, 5th. And then Nityananda Trayodasi is on the Monday following that Wednesday, on the 10th. So both of those days we should have a festival there. Very important. And then on the 15th is the 127th appearance day of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. That's on the 15th of February. So like 5 days from Nityananda Trayodasi. And then on the 17th is the 131st. Oh, those are other God brothers. Yeah, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, 151st appearance day is on the 17th of February, Monday. Yeah. It's also the disappearance day of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. So, like that, each week, you know, the 5th, that week, Advaitacharya, then the 10th, Nityananda Trayodasi, then the 17th, which is 1 week away from Nityananda Trayodasi on a Monday, then again, that is appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So that brings us practically up to Shivaratri, and then the beginning of the of the Gaur Purnima, because Gaur Purnima is somewhat early this year. Yeah, and the parikrama begins on the 8th of March, and Gaur Purnima is on the 14th, and then Jagannath Mishra festival on the 15th. So that's the program. But we're just 5 days away right now from New Year's Day. And anyway, we're going to have class on Saturday. On Saturday we're having class, and then on Tuesday. So the next 2 classes, Saturday and Tuesday, and then after that we will make some other schedule for the whole month. For the next 2 months actually, make schedule. Okay? Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsidev Bhai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakrajiyo Ki Jai.